Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Football by Rob. It's Rob here. Going to do a quick video today where we're going to dissect and rank every transfer that Mikel Arteta has made since joining Arsenal, and we're going to put it in a tier list. So I'm just going to cut from this intro to my laptop screen and we'll take it from there. All right? See you on the other side. Right. So we're going to start with Pablo Mari. He was brought in on loan from Flamengo for 8 million euro. Now, at that point in time, I think he was decent. I remember he had a very good start to his time at Arsenal, where he had like 5 clean sheets in 6 games or something like that. And needless to say, it was a time when we were in a lot of disarray as a club. So I didn't expect him to, come and immediately set the world on fire. But he was decent. So where are we putting Pablo Mari's loan? I will put it in a C for now. We can change the tiers later on, depending on where we think who belongs. But for now, I'm going to leave him there. Okay. Next up, Cedric Soares. We got him in on a loan from Southampton. Again, this was just after Mikel had joined. He had joined in December 2019. This was the first transfer window. We were down in the dumps at that point in time. And again, this was also nothing to write home about. It was just a sort of signing where, we needed a body and it just had to be done. So I'm okay with it. I think this will go into, it's either C or D. I'm putting in it at D for now. All right. Next up. Then we go to Suarez coming to Arsenal on a free following the loan. Now, nothing like a free transfer. But again, it will depend on what sort of impact he has on the team, right? I don't think Cedric Soares has had that much of a proper impact despite being a free transfer. So I'm going to leave him at D again. And then if we have Pablo Mari being made permanent on a transfer fee of 6 million euro. Now, I think this permanent transfer was not good. It didn't live up to the billing, or it didn't live up to the expectations that Arsenal fans would have had after the initial loan. And also, he had a lot of issues with injuries and then subsequently being out on loan. I even remember he was out in Italy and he got attacked at one point in time. So it just didn't really gel at Arsenal after the loan. So this Pablo Mari signing goes into F. The first F signing in this whole tier list. Next up, Willian. Where do I start? He came on a free. Again, like I mentioned, free transfers are always great, but it will also depend on your impact. This man, I think he bagged like 3 assists in his first ever game for Arsenal on his debut, and then he just went missing for the whole season. The whole season. So he left after a year. I remember he even told his agents, and he mentioned in interviews that like after 2 or 3 months, he was really unhappy. So I would say the feeling's mutual when it comes to Arsenal fans and Willian. We were never really sold on him. He was always somebody that we knew or we associated primarily with Chelsea, and it just didn't work. This is an F. I think it's a bigger F than Pablo Mari as well. So he's going to be right at the top over there. Next up will be Gabriel Magalhaes. I love this guy. Absolute beast, monster. He is going to go into S tier for me. Why? Well, if you see, we signed him for 26 million, which I think when you look back on in hindsight, absolute bargain, steal. So I don't have really anything to say against him. I mean, I remember initially he had some, not so smart moments, but his progression as a defender and his evolution from being just a young centre-back from the French league to becoming one of the most dominant centre-backs in the Premier League now, not only in his box, but in the opposition box as well. Yeah, I think S is highly merited, so he deserves to be in S. Next up, we have Runnarsson, the young goalkeeper from Iceland, whom we signed from Dijon. As I go through this list, you're going to see a troubling pattern with Arsenal and goalkeepers. And we are going to talk about how it has been a continuous revolving door in Arteta's time. And this is something that I think needs to be addressed moving forward. But getting back to that, we got Runnarsson in for 2 million euro from Dijon. And again, I didn't really see him play a whole lot for us. He spent a lot of time out on loan. So I'm going to put him here in D. Next up, Thomas Partey. This was a massive deal for us, I remember, because it was a release clause, the first proper signing that we made, I mean, even at that point in time, Gabriel wasn't that established. Willian was seen as somebody who is on the wane, but Thomas Partey was in his prime when Arsenal went and paid his release clause to Atleti. And at that point in time, I'll have to admit, I was hyped. I was hyped because I have always wanted a proper midfield enforcer. Ever since we let Vieira go and we tried to pin all our hopes on Abu Dhabi, and that failed spectacularly, I have always wanted somebody who can just bully the opposition's players in midfield. And I remember there was a time when I wanted Victor Wanyama from Southampton. I wanted Van Dijk as well from Southampton at that point in time. But Arsenal never went around for him. Wanyama went to Tottenham and Van Dijk ended up moving to Liverpool. And, the rest is history. But when we signed Thomas Partey, that solved a lot of issues for us, I felt. The problem was that once he came, the injuries came with it. And I don't know, because he appeared to have a really good injury track record prior to joining Arsenal. So if I take everything else into consideration, at the point in time when we signed him, I thought he was either S or A tier. But when I see him now and when I think of everything else, I think I will have to put him in B. And I'm not being harsh, I'm just trying to be a realist. In my previous videos, I've also mentioned about how I've had like a love-hate relationship with Partey because I really like him as a player. I really like the profile. But the issue I have with him is that his availability is a factor for us. He's injured more often than not. And in big games, he's sometimes ghosted. So I'm going to keep him at B for now. Next up, Matt Ryan, loan transfer from Brighton. Yet another goalkeeper, if you see. So we had Runnarsson come in 2020, or not even a year later, 6 months later, we have Matt Ryan coming in because Runnarsson was out on loan. Again, didn't really play all that much for us. He was okay, decent. I'm going to put him in a D. Martin Odegaard on a loan. 2 million loan fee to Real Madrid. This, I think, was fantastic business by Arsenal and Arteta at that point in time. So Martin Odegaard's loan will go into A for me. He brought this creative breath of fresh air into the team, and we were really lacking at that point in time. I remember we were heavily reliant on Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka to be trying to bail us out all the time. And Odegaard's arrival from Real Madrid really helped take the pressure off those youngsters. He was a youngster as well at that point in time, but yeah. But he came with this solid reputation. Real Madrid had been courting him ever since he was a teenager. He had signed for them at the age of 16 or 15, I think. In hindsight, they would probably be regretting that now. But again, that's Real Madrid. So, they are spoiled for riches always. Anyway, so his loan, that's an A for me. Then we move on to Nuno Tavares from Benfica for 8 million. Okay, I'm kind of torn on this because I really liked Tavares' profile as a player. The problem is, at Arsenal, he had so many rudimentary pedestrian mistakes. And at the same time, he's just, not been able to show or deliver the promise that we expected from him. So for me, this again goes into a D. Next up is Albert Sambi Lokonga, yet another player who has just been stuck in that revolving door when it comes to loans at Arsenal. Never really managed to live up to the hype. I remember everybody thought he's going to be the next big thing, and maybe he still can. But at Arsenal, I didn't see him deliver to the extent that we expected him to deliver. 17.5 million euro. Solid F. I'm sorry, Sambi, if you're watching this, but it is what it is. Next up, we go to Ben White. Now, I remember there was a lot of hullabaloo about this when Ben White was signed, and it was 50 million, and everybody was like, "Are you mad? What are you guys doing? Signing him for 50 million, and this, that, and the other." But I will say he's been a solid signing since then. Solid. I won't say S or A tier, but a decent B tier. Yeah, he has had some injury issues. If you would have asked me this question at the end of last season, I'm like 23, 24, not 24, 25, I would have put him in A. But given everything that's happened and his availability and his injury issues have been there, I will say B. Again, I'm no fool. I know that his injuries have been directly linked to the fact that he'd been overplayed because Tomiyasu was down, Timber was down with a season-long injury last season. So I can understand that. But yeah, for the purposes of this list, he will be in B for now. Next up, Martin Odegaard's permanent move. So this is following his loan. It was made permanent on 35 million euro. Again, I think 35 million euro for Odegaard, steal. Solid. I would have even put him in S tier had he not had such a disappointing season this time around, this season, the one that just concluded. He was not the player that we know. He was a shadow of his former self. So that's the only reason why he's not in S right now. He's just in A. After that, we have Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale. Again, when he came in, there was a lot of chatter, especially from rivals, from the media, about Arsenal signing a relegation merchant. He had just been relegated, I think, with Sheffield, and prior to that, he had been relegated with Bournemouth. So he was coming off 2 back-to-back relegations, and everybody thought he would be really bad at Arsenal, and this would be something that would blow up in our faces. But I would have to say that for 28 million euro, he was a very good signing. He was very, very decent. Again, maybe not world class, but decent. And certainly an upgrade on Bernd Leno at that point in time, who was struggling for form and injuries. We had Emi Martinez as well. I was never a fan of that guy, even before the World Cup. If anybody thinks I'm salty about that, but yeah. So Ramsdale, I think for the price and given everything that he did, he was a great servant for the club. Thorough professional throughout. I'm going to put him in A. Right. Next up, Takehiro Tomiyasu. 18.6 million from Bologna. Great signing at that point in time. He's been extremely unfortunate, extremely unlucky with injuries. And I think had injuries not been there, this guy is a top player, like certainly A level for me. But for the purposes of this list, I'm going to keep him at B, just for now. Next up, Austin Trusty. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't even know we had signed this guy. I didn't even know that he was a player that was on our books. Apparently, he never played for us. He's only had appearances for Birmingham after joining us, and he went out on loan essentially. So I'm going to leave him at D, just safe. Right. Who do we have next? Fabio Vieira. Another one. Another Arsenal Arteta transfer that's made me scratch my head. We signed him for 35 million euro. I think there were some add-ons as well, so I won't be surprised if it was higher. But again, given his performances at the club, I doubt if he managed to get to a level where those add-ons would be triggered. But 35 million for this young man was, I think, a very, very, very bad deal on our part because he has hardly played. Yes, he's had some bits and moments here and there. For me, Fabio Vieira is an F. And again, I don't have anything against him personally. I'm sure he might be a great guy, an excellent human being, and all that and more. But this is in context to performances for Arsenal, signing on and then subsequently delivering for the club. And I just don't think he has done that. That being said, I will still say he is ahead of the likes of Willian and co. I might even put him here. Or, no, actually, yeah, he can be ahead of all these. He can be the best of the F, if that's even a thing. Right. Next up, Matt Turner, another goalkeeper. Are you seeing the pattern that I mentioned? It's every season there's a goalkeeper. Every season. Again, this guy came in as a backup, probably after Emi Martinez's departure. Um, and yeah, just wasn't up to it. I don't even know why we signed him, to be honest. He went on to Nottingham Forest after that. Again, he was pretty shoddy there as well. Maybe he is just struggling for form or consistency, or maybe he was just too small a fish in too big of a pond when it came to the Premier League. But extremely underwhelming. I will still put him ahead of Willian. But yeah, no, I wouldn't want to see Matt Turner at Arsenal ever again. Next up, Marquinhos. This is another player. I don't know why we signed him, what the point of it was. I wouldn't be surprised if this was just some sort of balancing the book type of deal that we did, again, for reasons unknown. 3.5 million from Sao Paulo. I don't think I've seen him play any Premier League games. Probably might have featured in the League Cup, Carabao Cup for us once. And he's just been on a slew of loans ever since. I remember he went out to Norwich City. He went out to a couple of teams in Brazil as well. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about him. He can go into F, and I think he can be even below Willian. Well, I didn't even think that was going to happen in this video. But yeah, that's it. Next up, Gabby Jesus. Again, another player that I am conflicted on, because when he signed, I was okay. I was sort of happy because I personally wanted Isak. But again, like I mentioned in previous videos, I will always back any player that my team signs. And at that point in time when we signed him, I thought, great, City, proven Premier League player, he's got experience winning at the highest level, performing at the highest stage. So I thought it'll be good. And to be honest, it was. It was good for a while. And that injury in the World Cup, I think that's killed him. And since then, he hasn't been the same since. So I'm going to put him in C or D. I think D will be too harsh. I'm going to put him in C. C. Because there is still a good player in there. I can't blame him for his injuries now. But I can blame him for missing chances when he's available, when he's on the pitch. So yeah, so I'm going to put him at C. Alexander Zinchenko, I think, is next. Let me just check. Yep, Alexander Zinchenko. So this was the double signing that we did from City that season. And I remember at the time fans were really hyped because they were like, oh, we are getting proven Premier League winners and co. And this is going to give that experience to the young squad. These players, they had talent, certainly, but they didn't really have the nous and the experience when it came to the crunch end of the season and playing the toughest games against the biggest opponents in the most high pressure settings. And we thought that bringing these two players in will help inculcate that sort of a mentality into the rest of the dressing room. And I think it did to an extent. But at the same time, I will have to say that I saw Zinchenko regressing after joining Arsenal. So if I had to be honest, I will have to put him also in C or D. I will say C for now. Next up, Leandro Trossard. He came in January, right after the 2022 World Cup. And this is just after Chelsea had hijacked Mikhailo Mudryk. How's that working out, Chelsea? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so Leandro Trossard. I think decent deal, 24 million euro. I think it was 6 months. And he had an option for an additional 12 months at Brighton. And he was obviously out of favor with De Zerbi at that point in time. So it was good. It was good business from us, I will say. I'm going to put him at B. Really good business from us. And he has been solid from the bench ever since. Next up, Jakub Kivior. Again, I wasn't really sold on him when we initially signed him. And I remember we signed him in that summer. And right after the transfer window ended and we were in the Europa League, William Saliba got injured. And I thought, Julian, this is the moment where this guy steps out. But I think Arteta probably didn't want to play in a situation where he had two left-footed centre backs at the same time, and that is how we ended up playing Rob Holding. Now, again, I have nothing against Rob Holding. I still rate the man for that absolute masterclass in the FA Cup final against Diego Costa and Chelsea in 2017, I want to say. Yeah, 2017. But in 2023, Rob Holding was a massive disappointment for us. And I remember the season before that also, when we lost out on Champions League football by a whisker to Spurs. Rob Holding was a massive letdown that season as well. So I expected Kivior to step up and just, hit the ground running, but it just never happened. And it's happened later, but not when it mattered the most for us. I think, given everything that has happened and how he has flourished, Kivior right now is a solid B. I will say ahead of the likes of Tomiyasu also. Tomiyasu can go here in the corner. Yeah, Kivior can be right below Ben White. And I think that is a fair position for him as things stand. We follow that up with Jorginho. Again, this is another player whom we had to pivot to after our initial target in that January transfer window was unattainable, for the want of a better word. We had wanted to sign Moises Caicedo at that point in time. And I remember Caicedo was willing to move, but Brighton were not willing to let him go for the kind of money that we offered. So we ended up signing Jorginho, who was already looking out of place in Chelsea because I think they had just signed Enzo Fernandez. And they were basically plotting with one eye on the future. I don't blame them for that. We signed Jorginho, I think, for a really nominal sum, 11.3 million. So for that sort of a price, for him, he was a squad player, bit part player at best. I think he can be in C, probably ahead of Pablo Mari. Yeah, Pablo Mari can go here. Yeah, Jorginho was decent as a C grade player. I'll rate him at that for now. And then we come into the last two seasons, basically. So we started with Kai Havertz. This is the 26th player that Arteta signed. Again, is he a decent player? Yes. Does he work hard? Yes. Is he dedicated? Is he a good professional? Yes. Is he worth 75 million euro? Not on your life. There is no way he is worth 75 million euro. At least not at the point in time when we bought him from Chelsea and the kind of form he was in. I find that price tag really hard to stomach. I mentioned it in the past. There are no bad assets, just bad prices. Had we signed Havertz for, say, 40, 45 million and had we given him a wage packet of, say, 150 to 180k a week, I think Havertz could be a really good signing. The fact that we paid Chelsea 75 million euro, and I think he is on something in excess of 250. I think it's between 250 to 280k a week. That is extremely poor on our part. Extremely poor. I think that money, those resources could have been better utilized elsewhere. Again, I'm not hating on Kai Havertz. I'm sure he's an absolute wonderful bloke, thorough professional. I really like him for his work ethic and the effort he puts in. But I don't think he was worth the kind of money we paid for him. And again, if you see here, it says centre forward. He was never signed as a centre forward. He was signed as a left 8 replacement for Granit Xhaka. So again, I'm not really sure how Arteta can justify this sort of money being spent on him. 75 million euro on Kai Havertz. We weren't willing to pay 72 million for Alexander Isak the season before that. So that should tell you something. So where does Kai Havertz go? I think, given everything that has happened, he is here. C. This is again no shade on the man, no hate on the man. It is what it is. Next up, Jurrien Timber. This was another signing I was really excited about. Mainly because I remember we had been after Lisandro Martinez at that point in time, and United were after Timber. and we missed out on Martinez. He chose United, and then we got Timber. And I think we dodged a bullet. I'm not slandering Martinez or slating him. I rate him, decent player. But I think if I had to pick between him and Timber and I have a pickup game outside, I'm picking Timber. He's more versatile. I think he's stronger as a player. The physical presence that he has, it's harder to get the ball off him. Whereas I have seen Martinez get turned and twisted a lot. I will say Timber is better in the air as well when it comes to aerial duels. So I was really happy with him. For 40 million euro, this was a solid deal from Ajax. And I think this is an 8 year. Yeah, right here. 8 year. Right below Odegaard's permanent transfer. Decent. Next up, Declan Rice for 116.6 million euro. Arsenal's transfer record of all time, shattering the amount that we paid for Aubameyang. I think prior to that, that was our previous transfer record when we signed disgruntled Aubameyang from Borussia Dortmund. Let's not waste any time. Right here. Actually, you know what? I will say below Gabby because we paid a way smaller sum for Gabby in comparison. So if I have to say pound for pound, Gabby will be a better signing, considering he didn't cost us as much. For the Rice, we had to break the bank and then some. So I'll put him second, but thoroughly amazed and pleased with him as a player. The way he has improved, the way he has gone from strength to strength, the fact that he's not only a leader on the pitch but off it, I have nothing bad to say about him. Nothing. Not a single fault I can find in him yet. S tier. Easy S tier. Now, next up, David Raya on a loan. 3.5 million loan fee. Yet another goalkeeper. But this is probably the best goalkeeper that we've signed in Arteta's era. And for this 3.5 million euro signing on fee, easy, S tier. The man finished with a golden glove as well in his first season. The fact that he came into a team, he removed a settled number one with relative ease. Again, some people will say, okay, he had the Spanish connection with Arteta, so it was always going to happen for him. But again, Ramsdale is British and he was on track to challenge Pickford for the number one spot for the Three Lions. So I don't think it would have been that easy, especially when you consider that the English media would obviously side with Ramsdale if it was between him and Raya. David Raya on a loan was just really good, really good. And I don't have anything bad to say about him. I really like him. Again, I will confess, I wasn't sold on him when we initially signed him. I remember thinking, give Ramsdale another chance. He's the man who's brought us into the Champions League. He deserves the opportunity. But I have to concede that Arteta's lack of emotional decision-making in this matter has actually benefited Arsenal massively. The fact that he could keep his emotions and sentiments aside and do what's best for the team, that's been really good. So I'm going to put him in A. Now, David Raya on a permanent right after that. So we actually would have signed him permanently the previous season when we had the loan. But I think there was a PSR FFP issue, especially with us going and dropping this kind of money on Declan Rice. So we had to wait a season before we could make it permanent. 31.9 million. Good deal. I don't have anything against this deal as well. Again, he's won another Golden Glove. Maybe not as convincingly. I think he had to share it with the Nottingham Forest keeper this time around. But still, back-to-back Golden Gloves, 2 seasons running. And the kind of saves he produced, you know what? I'm actually going to put him a bit ahead. Yeah, this permanent transfer, actually, it's ahead of Rice. Yeah. Again, the kind of saves he pulled off this season. I saw David De Gea do that kind of stuff against us back in the day. The saves at United, the saves at Liverpool, Massive, 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 massive. The kind of saves he pulled off in the PSG game as well. Really, really, really top quality player. And we are very fortunate to have him in our team, if you ask me personally. So I'm going to leave it over there. Nearly there, guys, nearly there. Next up, Riccardo Calafiori, 45 million from Bologna. Another defender. Great player. I like him. I like his profile. I like his versatility. I like the fact that he's a no nonsense type of defender. But did we need him at that point in time? Again, some will say yes, because we probably had one eye on the future with the fact that Kieran Tierney's deal was running out and Zinchenko was also hot and cold, not living up to the billing. So we got him for a good deal, I will say. I remember a bunch of Italian teams were also in for him at that point in time. I will put him in B for now, right ahead of Tomiyasu. But again, the jury's still out on him. I want to see, honestly, I want to see Calafiori have a completely injury-free season so that I can gauge him properly, so I can assess him properly. I think there's a really, really solid player in there. But the best ability is always going to be availability. If you are going to miss more than half the games, I can't really hang my hat on you. I can't really count on you when the going gets tough. The fact that Miles Lewis Kelly has, dislodged him from the first team, that should say something as well. But for now, yeah, he can be in B. Next up, Mikel Merino, 32 million, midfield. Again, Kai Havertz was brought in, like I mentioned earlier, to be the left 8 replacement. Didn't work. We put him in as striker out of necessity, and it sort of worked. And then this guy was brought in to basically fill that same gap that we tried to fill up with Kai. 32 million, Mikel Merino, what do we think? I personally think Mikel Merino is here. Thorough professional, really decent player. Put in an absolute shift and a half for us when we were down in the dumps this season without a striker. And I'm grateful to him for that. But yeah, not somebody who's at the top tier when it comes to a successful signing from him. Decent signing. Again, the jury's still out. Maybe over the course of his Arsenal season or his Arsenal career, he's going to have even more moments that will push him further up. But for now, B is, I think, appropriate position for him. Next up, Neto, another goalkeeper. How many have we had so far? Far too many, if you ask me. This guy was brought in on a loan for what I think 1.5 million or something like that, or 3.5 million, I forget. Absolute waste. I'd rather we have given that second goalkeeper spot to some youth academy player, Carl Hein or somebody. I'd be okay with that before this guy. What do you mean? F. Right there. Pointless. And all the more annoying because each Premier League team has 2 slots for loans that they can have from other Premier League teams. He was one of the loanees from a Premier League team. And that hamstrung us, essentially, because we couldn't get business done or we couldn't sign any other players on loan who might have actually made a meaningful contribution to our season. Because this man was sitting on the bench hatching eggs, collecting checks. And this, again, I think is down to Arteta and the Arsenal board and the sporting director or whoever you want to call it, calling a really poor shot. And they need to be held accountable for these sort of shoddy transfers. Well, if you think that was bad, wait till you see this. Raheem Sterling. I haven't made a tier below F. If I could, I'd put him there. I'm being honest. And again, I want to preface this by saying I have no hate against Sterling. I'm sure he's a gentleman and a decent human being. But in the context of this tier list and the fact that we signed him on deadline day and all that claptrap he gave about, the best is yet to come and this, that, and the other. Brother in Christ, if this is your best, I don't want to see it. Please. Please, I beg you. Just go back to Chelsea. I don't think even they're going to have him. They've already took the shirt off his back and given it to Pedro Neto last season. So I won't be surprised if he's, off to Turkey or Saudi Arabia or something like that, because I don't see anybody wanting him. Or maybe a recently promoted club takes a punt on him. But again, that will depend on whether he wants to take a wage cut or not. Sterling is still young, relatively. I think he's about 30, maybe 30, 31. He's been playing, I think he broke into the Liverpool team at 16, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel bad for him as a person. But like I mentioned, there is very little room for sentimentality, almost next to none in this sort of situation. If we were a city with 3, 4 titles back to back, or treble in the kitty and everything, maybe we can be sentimental like they were with De Bruyne. They should have moved De Bruyne on 1 season ago, ideally, right? But they didn't. They wanted to honor him for his services, or, repay the faith that he's shown in them. Sterling is a straight up F. Maybe better than Neto. Maybe better than Marquinhos. Better than Willian. My God. Imagine a boxing match if we saw Sterling and Willian for the battle for the most disappointing Chelsea to Arsenal transfer. Would you pay for that? I probably would, I think. But again, I think they'd both miss each other the way they miss the goals all the time. So yeah, that's our list done. Okay. Now, if we look at this tier list, yes, there are 4 signings here, but 3 players, because David has repeated twice. There are 4 signings here, but Odegaard repeated twice. So if we look at S and A tier, we've only managed to sign 6 players. 6 out of how many? How many did we have in total? I think 26. 34, sorry. 34 total players. 6 out of 34 players can be considered a success or a massive hit. Is that acceptable to you as an Arsenal fan? Or if you're a rival fan, what do you think about this as well? I personally think we needed to have at least 3 or 4 more players who could be categorized in A or S. Now again, maybe there are going to be some people who are going to want to move certain players from B into A. I think as things stand, it's pretty fair. I'm going to download this as well. Yeah, that's done. So we're going to have this up on the page as well later. I think moving forward, Arsenal have very little room for error when it comes to making signings that can make a difference, that can impact to the level that we need or we demand if we actually want to be serious about winning a title. I'm going to probably make a couple more videos in the week about certain players that I think should target or look at least. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts on this tier list, if you think I've put some player in a tier wrongfully, or I have overhyped somebody and put them above what their achievements merit. Yeah, I'm always open to a discussion. If you want to leave a comment, I'll reply as well. If you think my content is worth a follow, please drop a subscribe. You can like the video as well. That always helps. I'm trying to get this channel up and running, so hopefully I can share more such info and opinions with you guys. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Stay safe, stay happy. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. In case you like this t-shirt, the Thierry Henry, I made this myself. I'm going to leave a link for my merch page. I make these drawings myself. They're all drawn by hand. There's no AI, and it'll really help the store and the channel if you think anything's worth buying and you might want to make a purchase. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to leave it at that now. I hope you had fun watching this. I had fun making it, even though some of these hurt. But yeah, let me know. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers. Peace.